check the audio. I'm gonna share the screen. All right, we are in business day 263. Today we're checking out the new zip code 35208, just a little bit west of Birmingham today. And today we're just going to continue learning the zip codes. Yesterday we did 35207 or 35206, so we'll just keep going on. Found us three bedroom, little charming little property over here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the property. Looks relatively turnkey. Yep, so this is why I picked it. I picked it because, again, we're trying to figure out what a buy box is, assuming, one, the property is renovated with above average finishes, which I would consider this to be above average. That looks pretty good. All right, so let's take a quick look at the street view. Oh, what's that thing? A water tank? All right. Nothing jumping out at me right now. So let's go get the FMR. So FMR stands for fair market rents. And you can do that by Googling HUD FMR. When you Google HUD FMR, HUD space FMR, you can click on the fair market rents, which is the first link. You can scroll down to this area where it says access to small area FMRs. Then click on FY 2024, small area FMRs, and then click on your state, followed by your county, Jefferson. And you're going to get the rent ceilings by zip code of by bedroom count. So this is 35208. You're going to see right here that the rent ceiling for 3-bed is $1,440. And the rent ceiling for a 4-bed is $1,600. Okay, so let's write these ones down: $1,440 and $1,600. So a little bit lower than the zip code we looked at yesterday, which was 35206. This is 35208. Right? So this is what we're doing. We're just learning, we're getting by, and we're understanding the market a little bit better every single day just by putting in the reps. Okay. Now that we got a rent ceiling, the second data point you're going to want is your market rents. Now, when you go to affordablehousing.com, you can go to the owner section, go to the market rent estimator, and then you can plug in your address, which we're just going to copy and paste it right from there. 2721 23rd Street in Birmingham. Plug that right in, plug in the bedroom count, and then the most important number you're going to get is this number here on the bottom right. It says that, hey, yeah, just like that, day 263. Time kind of flies by. Thanks for joining. I really, really appreciate every single time you pop on. All right, so for 25 units within a 0.5 mile radius, we're at 1,124. So let's write that one down. 1124, 1140, 1258, and 1520. Now that we've got the rents for a 3-bed, I always like to just understand what the 4-bed looks like and see whether or not the lift is there to turn a 3-bed into a 4-bed, especially within each zip code. Now, in this area, we went from 1124 to 1270. Let me write these numbers down. Then you go to 1287, 1329, and 1919. And you're going to see that within only about $150 lift in rent. Might that be worth it? Might not. Probably not really, because you're probably going to convert a big garage, and who knows, you've got to pull permits in order to do it. Well, generally you should pull permits, but at the same time, you don't know how long it's going to take to pull those permits. That's really your X factor right there, right? So we're going to underwrite the deal today using and assuming it's just a 3-bedroom, because I feel pretty confident that there's 25 units within a half-mile radius at 1124. Okay. Now, I have to use the lower of the two rents, right? Even though I saw that the rent ceiling was $1,440, usually that includes some utilities, I'm using $1,125 for my rent to underwrite this property. Why is that? Okay. there is a test. It's called the rent reasonableness test. All right. If you ever look at the Housing Choice Voucher Program Guidebook, HCV, Housing Choice Voucher is what was formerly known as a Section 8 voucher. They just rebranded from Section 8 to Housing Choice Vouchers because of the previously negative connotation associated with the word Section 8. So that's why they rebranded to Housing Choice Voucher, but a lot of people still call it Section 8. All right. When you go to Section 2.2, and this is the section called comparability, there's a test called the rent reasonableness test. So it defines as in conducting rent reasonableness, the PHA, or the Public Housing Authority, must determine whether the rent to the owner is a reasonable rent in comparison to rent for other comparable unassisted units. This means that you cannot charge more rent to a tenant simply because they are a voucher holder, right? For the obvious reasons. Now, does comparability still apply in terms of, hey, is yours a single family home versus a 3-bedroom condo, right? Big difference. The size, the quality, the age of the unit still matters. But in this scenario, there's tons of Section 8 properties here in the Birmingham market. So I'm really just assuming that most of the 3 bedrooms that they're picking up here are not condos. They're generally single family homes. Okay. All right. So that's why we're using 1125, because that is the lower of the two when you compare those rents. All right, so now that we got those numbers in there, let's go ahead and plug in some numbers. This property is listed for 170 grand, 170,000. All right, let's get the property tax number right here, 61, and then list 132 as the estimated insurance. So I'm going to do equals 132, and I'm going to multiply that by 1.2 to add a 20% premium, just because I'm assuming that insurance estimate was for a primary residence, as if someone was buying the property to live in it. Because we're using it as a rental property, generally the insurance is going to cost more. So that's why I'm adding a 20% premium to it by multiplying 1.2. The rent, we're using 1150, just because it's just slightly above 1125, and I think it's above average finish. So I think we'll probably get 1150 in terms of rent for this property. Okay. Now, next thing we have is going to be 10% for our maintenance. So we're setting aside 10% of our rents every single month for maintenance and capex, because guess what? Something always needs to get replaced, whether or not the roof is getting replaced every 10, 15 years, right? If you don't set aside this $115 every single month, right? In 10 years from now, you might have a big roof replacement that costs 10 grand. And that would have wiped out all your cash flow if you didn't plan for it, because you might have been making $100 or $150 of cash flow a month, but was that really net cash flow, right? Because that one doesn't belong to you, right? You knew things were going to get replaced. You knew the HVAC was going to get replaced. You knew the water heater was going to break down eventually. You knew eventually the toilet was going to clog. All these things add up. So it's almost irresponsible for you to not underwrite with maintenance set aside every single month. Okay. Then we got 10% for our property management expenses and 5% for our vacancy. So after we plug in some of these numbers in, all right. So for this property on our renovations, I'm going to assume that I don't need to do anything else besides for maybe just replacing the toilets with high pressure flush toilets, which is something that I generally do. We don't need to pay anything. So I'm going to zero that one out. And I'm going to go up to setting aside $500 for landscaping to keep the place clean while we get it turned over and a tenant placed. I got $1,500 for the roof, just in case there's something in the roof that needs to get patched up that I cannot see in the photos. Just because it looks pretty in the photos doesn't mean that we might not find any other issues, right? So now we're going to calculate a down payment. We're going to take our asking price. We're going to multiply by our down payment percentage. So that's going to be my asking price in B4, multiplied by my down payment percentage in F19, and that's going to equals to my down payment. Then my finance amount is going to be equals to my asking price, which is in B4, less my down payment, which we just calculated in E19. And I'm using 8.25% right now for a DSCR loan to underwrite the property. I got 2.5% for closing costs. I got $3,500 roughly for renovations reserve. So this is going to give me, assuming I rent this out as a 3-bedroom for $1,150, I would be losing the negative $315 a month, which results in a negative 7.5% return on my investments if I bought it at 170 grand. Okay. Now, because we already started analyzing deals a ton in this market, I kind of already knew that there wasn't going to be a deal because we've been playing around with so many properties. And generally, we need it to get properties down in the 100 grand area for it to truly be a deal. So let's see what happens. So if I turn this into 100 grand, now I'm finally in the positive, but still not going to meet my 10% cash and cash return. So watch what happens to my cash and cash return as I continue to drop this asking price. Let's go 85 grand, 80 grand, 75 grand, 78 grand. All right, here we go. So that's $78,000. If I bought this property, I will get a 9.8% return on the capital. All right. That's going to be really, really low. But hey, as you learn something doing this analysis, right? So now you know, hey, in 35208, I'm really not going to get a lift for a 3-bedroom, right? So I'm not even going to look at 3 bedrooms unless they're below 80 grand in the zip code. That's how you slowly determine your buy box by every single market, by every even zip code, right? Before you even get into things such as, hey, what does the crime score look like if I go within a half-mile radius or a 3/4 mile radius or any shootings nearby in the crime data, right? Before you even do that, you don't need to go there, right? You just determine, hey, just understand that for every single property, there is a price and a set of terms that will make it a deal. In this scenario, 170 grand, it's not even close. We had to go all the way down to 70 grand, 8 grand as a 3-bedroom. So for me, I wouldn't even look at any properties around here until us is like a 4-bedroom and I can get way higher rents, right? So let's just make it up. So what if I got a 4-bedroom and I can rent out for 1,300, right? So you could say, if I go to my monthly income rents right here, put in 1,300, now what am I willing to pay? Well, how about I go to 90 grand? Boom, right? 95, 92. There you go. If I find a 4-bed in this area that I can run for 1,300, assuming everything else stay constant, I can cash with $237 a month at a 9.9% cash and cash return if I can buy a turnkey property at 4-bedroom at $92,000, assuming your criteria is 10%. Now, obviously, this is not investment advice. I'm not soliciting any investments on the call. I'm simply showing you all the work on how to determine what your buy boxes is, and most importantly, figure out how to quickly rule out deals. And when you do this day in and day out, and you learn each market, you start building the reps, you get the repetition, you know what you're looking for, you know how the conditions of the property that you're looking for. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, my own hope is that you all just copy my homework. If you guys want to copy the spreadsheet, just go to affordablehousing.io, go to the Get Deal Analysis tool. I didn't make this deal analysis tool from scratch. I've gotten plenty of other templates from many other people. I kind of combined them all into a manner and modified it and tweaked it so that it fits how I analyze deals and how I want to underwrite deals really quickly, right? Because how do we avoid burnout? You avoid burnout you get burnt out by doing a lot of work and getting no return on your results for it. So in order for you to do that and avoid that, you have to quickly rule out these deals. So get a copy of the spreadsheet. Analyze the same deal I analyzed today. It's right on the market. You don't make up these properties. It's just literally right there. And then put it on your own YouTube channel. Just put it on your own YouTube channel. Claim it as your own work. And when the time comes, when a deal comes across the day and slaps you across the face, I hope you will recognize the deal because you can have the confidence to say to yourself that you know what you're doing and you know how to spot a deal. Because if a partner ever asks you, hey, why do you think this is a deal? Well, you can say, I know it's a deal because I've been spending the past 263 days looking at deals and they were all not deals. I mean, some of them were, but the point is for you to have confidence in yourself that you know what you're doing, and more importantly, for your partners to know that you know what you're doing. Because people invest with people that are consistent. People invest in people that knows what they're talking about, and they don't just talk to talk. They actually walk to walk, and they put in work day in and day out, even when it's boring. And that's why consistency is hard. It's boring. No way around it. Hey, my hater, thank you for joining today. All right, I hope you guys all have an amazing Wednesday. I know it's a holiday for many folks, so have an amazing holiday. And I hope you guys spend some quality time with your family and friends today. And I'll be back here again tomorrow for day 263. Have an amazing day, everybody. I'll talk to you tomorrow.